The first hint that I had problems with my eyes was in first grade. I failed the eye test that you take at school several times. And I went to the doctor with my parents, and it was deemed I had this thing called uveitis, which is a scarring of the pupil around the eye. Fast forward about 40 years, over that kind of time period, I had to take lots of different medications, which created other complications such as cataracts and glaucoma, and required several different surgeries, about half a dozen surgeries in my two eyes over the course of the next 40 years. I was managing and sighted and fully functional, and it really was a accident where I got some sand in my eyes that introduced a very strong bacteria that really kind of pushed my eyes over the edge. They had just had too much trauma over my lifetime to compensate for having a pretty serious infection. And after healing that infection at the hospital, I came out of the hospital fully blind with only a little bit of light perception.
Like to reply?
No.
That's all your messages.
Through lots of training, I have been able to do just about everything in a modified manner. So I can't walk down the street like a sighted person. I need to use augmented tools such as a white cane if I'm traveling by myself, or with my seeing eye dog, Crypto, who will guide me around places. Same thing with various technologies. The computer, I don't use a monitor, I don't use a mouse. Those are visual aids to using a computer. Everything that I use on my computer is just a keyboard, and that's it. And I use sound where the computer talks to me and explains to me how I'm navigating around the files or the various programs. Where I run into problems is there are computer programs that just don't have accessibility built into them. So while I have program on my computer that helps me access a lot of different programs, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, the internet, email, there are other programs that I used in the past that are not accessible. Just when you open them up, it doesn't say anything, doesn't tell me anything, and I just can't navigate that particular program. There are other things, around the kitchen, cooking. Again, it's augmented in that I utilize, programs. I bought a special oven that connects with the Alexa, so I can voice command that oven.
Alexa, preheat June to 375.
Without ever having to touch the actual oven. So I've augmented my life with a lot of technology, voice command technology, apps on phone technology to get through. But again, same sort of thing. There are some times where things are just not programmed or coded to be accessible, and that'll trip you up. I break down my life into two time frames, the before blindness and the after blindness. So before blindness, where I still struggled with vision problems, I have achievements that I'm quite proud of. I started my own business, very successful, was very proud to, do that and be my own business owner. I ran a marathon, while visually impaired, and, was glad to accomplish that achievement. And then you kind of move into this phase where I was blind. And, my first part, and there's several things over the past 3 years that I've been, proud of myself for. And first off is just picking myself up and dusting myself off after going blind. Fully losing your sight is a traumatic event. It's easy to curl up in a ball and think that you can't do anything, but I took it as a challenge to see what I could accomplish as a blind person. So I moved quickly to learn how to navigate myself with a cane and then with a guide dog, and build my own independence where I try to really limit the request for help unless I'm really stuck on something. I try to figure it out on my own. I took time as a blind person to write a 450-page novel that I published. That is a fiction medical thriller. Something that I'd always wanted to do as a sighted person. And when I went blind, I decided to take on that task. And I'm very proud that I accomplished, that's something I accomplished as a blind person that I never accomplished as a sighted person. And, the last thing I would say is that I'm really working hard to give back to the blind community, to find ways to make a blind life a more enjoyable and easier life for the people behind me by joining various disability commissions to help around the town of Natick where I live to make things easier and more navigatable for the blind community in our town, which there are quite a few of us. And also by starting a group where I find and review iPhone games that are accessible for blind people so that they know that there are fun, enjoyable things that they can do as a blind person, that they can thrive, not just survive.
Mom, are you okay with it?
We're not going to have this conversation in front of you.
Shush, I'm doing math. Not well.
7.
Why are you such an asshole?
T minus 7 seconds.
Oh, my husband loves me. It's worse.
As now being part of the blind community, I've found it to be a group that has a wide spectrum of experiences and backgrounds, and have met many well-accomplished blind people. And what I would tell you is, get to know a blind person, get to learn about them. They have lots to offer, yet they're not given a lot of opportunities.